Today we are with Richard Lawrence, international best-selling author. In his book, Prayer Energy, he tells us how we can rediscover the power of prayer to change our lives. Hi Richard, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Karen.
We've come along, or you've come along today, and you're going to tell us all about your new book, which is Prayer Energy.
That's right, yes.
And we're going to talk all about the different aspects of prayer and why we pray, and really what prayer means and what it means in our lives. But before we actually go down the prayer path, I would really appreciate it if you could just tell me a little bit about your background.
Right, well, I've been in the Eerie Society for, more years than I care to remember, since 1972. So a long time. While I was at university I joined, and this is an organisation of which I'm now secretary, and we believe in life on other planets. We have a very non-denominational approach to all religious beliefs, and believe that there is a grain of truth which is universal, which can be found in many different paths. But in the Eerie Society we are focused on the New Age. We believe in a cosmic dimension to spiritual teaching, so we're believers in UFOs, life on other planets, and our founder president, Dr. George King, actually channeled, in his lifetime until 1997, beings from other planets. So our main purpose is to put their message out and to follow the missions that they left us to perform. But I'm a believer that anyone who practices dynamic prayer, and I do in the book, with the help of my co-author Mark Bennett, we've spelt out exactly how to do this practice. I think they will, in one way or another, sooner or later experience something too, something definite. They'll feel the energy, because the whole point of the book is to really explain that prayer is an energy, and whether you be from a Christian, a Jewish, a Hindu, a Sufi, or whatever background, you are New Age, Theosophical, all these prayers are included in the book. You are channeling energy. If I may just give us a beautiful parable that was taught by Sri Ramakrishna, the Hindu saint. And he said, if you take 4 blind boys who've never come into contact with an elephant, and each one of them is allowed to touch the elephant once.
You've heard this story, yes.
So one touches a trunk, one touches an ear, one touches a leg. And then you take them away and you say, now each of you describe what you touch. You'd have 4 different descriptions.
Yes.
And he said the elephant is God, and the boys are the religions.
Yes.
They've all touched different aspects of God. They may have different names for God. Maybe the name is Brahma or Allah or Universal Spirit, but it's the same.
Now I know we're slightly going off the beaten track a little bit with the ufology, but I suppose it is connected. Now, I came to one of your talks, your lectures, and I believe it was in Reading Town Hall a few years ago, and I was shown this amazing part of a video called The Disclosure Project.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was absolutely amazed that we are in contact or work with ETs, but this is all hidden behind the scenes. What do you think about that?
Undoubtedly. I mean, well, we know there were cover-ups. I mean, actually, I was in America in 1987 when one of the key revelations in the Disclosure Project about a Japanese airline was made. I was campaigning to bring it out then, and they've admitted lying. I mean, the Pentagon have admitted lying about UFOs. The British government, we know they lied. And what's amusing now, because I'm actually in the process, I've been asked to write a book on UFOs from a spiritual perspective. It is looking back some of the unbelievably ridiculous explanations that we were given. That people swallowed. They wouldn't swallow them now. I mean, for example, there was a fantastic sighting in the end of the 70s in New Zealand, which was tracked on radar, filmed by a camera crew, witnessed by people from the ground.
I think I remember that,
and that was explained away at the time as, well, first of all, the official explanation was it was Venus. So here we have Venus following an aircraft.
It's always Venus, isn't it? Or a weather balloon.
Yes, exactly. And then we had, which was one of my favourites, 1,000 mutton birds coming inland to mate. And the velocity they were travelling, they were desperate, I can assure you. So this is the absurdity of the government position is. I don't think they try and defend it now. And, you've got, as you well know, know him better than I do, I think, Nick Pope out there, who worked in the ministry.
Yes.
And I spoke to him on his first day there and said, you're going to believe in this, because he didn't then, and now he does.
Exactly.
Out there writing about it and so on. There's no doubt at all that it's been covered up. But the important thing, I think, is, especially now, is the spiritual approach, because I think the nuts and bolts approach, if you like, has failed us pretty much. Because you can go on and on and on debating cover-ups, and you can go on debating sightings and looking at encounters, but at the end you're left asking, why are they here? Who are they?
Exactly.
What is their plan?
Exactly.
Now that's what the Eerie Society can answer. There is a link between spiritual traditions and UFOs, undoubtedly. Often occurs in mystical or spiritual traditions, and it's right across the board. It's well covered on the Discovery channels all the time, and so on. Ancient astronauts, right across many cultures, and is still here today. So I don't believe it's because we're too primitive. If it was just that, I don't think they'd even be here at all. I mean, they might come as a curiosity to see how a very primitive race, because we are that, and a very, very belligerent and unpleasant race, and ridiculous race. I mean, people with our priorities are
fighting, aren't we?
Ridiculous.
Blowing each other up.
And so they might come as a curiosity, but I believe there are very compassionate beings, especially within this solar system. And when I say this solar system, I mean on the higher frequencies, higher vibrational levels of Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and other planets, who have a deep interest in our well-being, but won't interfere with us. They are waiting for us to change. They are helping. For example, there's a satellite, I believe, that comes into orbit every year, and people can get the dates from our websites or from us, and that satellite potentizes all spiritual actions by a factor of 3,000 times. So they will potentize the karmic and energy effects of people's good actions during those periods. And, we happily give those dates to people. They can test this. We will hold a service to mark their entry and to mark the departure of that satellite. That's the kind of concrete thing that they are interested in doing.
What do you mean by satellite?
A satellite from another world.
Oh, okay.
An extraterrestrial satellite.
Right.
Put in orbit by these beings from this solar system, although there may be beings from other solar systems on it, with the purpose of potentizing spiritual actions, our actions. Now that's so different from coming down here and solving our problems for us.
Exactly.
And then that robs us of the greatest thing we have, which is experience.